As we've told you, there are so many lives at the Miami Book Fair that we learn about that initially we never knew existed. D. Watkins' story of what neighborhoods were like before crack and after crack really hit in his new book, The Cook-Up. He joins us now live today on WNDB. Do you go by D or Dwayne? I should have asked you.
Just D. Just D, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You lost a brother. You took over the business. You go to college. You make a life for yourself. I mean, so much that happened. What were the neighborhoods like before crack?
So, I was kind of young, but I remember it being just a lot of fathers around, a lot of mentors, a lot of people who took an interest in grandfathering young people like me into positive things. And then when that wave hit, so two things happened. One, Baltimore never really industrialized it the proper way, so we never really had those factory jobs, and the few that we have started shutting down. And as they shut down, the drugs moved in. So some of those people who were doing those positive things felt that need to make money to survive, and it just turned into like a tradition.
So in other words, if Baltimore had had a more diverse economy to keep these people working, the drug lords wouldn't have moved in.
Yeah, people don't want to sell drugs. It's like a big myth. And, I blame entertainment a lot. I blame people who never really had proximity to these issues a lot because, they glamorize it. Like, America glamorizes the gangster. But it's, people don't want to sell drugs. It's not a pretty job. It's not yachts and minks and Lamborghinis in real life. That's like TV stuff. So in real life, it's, 1,000 hours a week and barely enough money to pay your cell phone bill. So it's not that glamorous.
Because from what I heard, that the markup, the person who was doing what you and your brother did, you're not making anything because it's going, to your supplier, right?
Yeah, you're not.
Who's making most of the money? So
also we got to consider time. It's like, if me and you met back in 1987 and I was like, Marc, I got, this idea, man, I can get these typewriters for a real cheap price and we can sell them. Me and you will go into business and we will make a lot of money. So what if I came at you with that same idea today? Like, look, man, well, you know what? Let me not say that because we could probably sell them to Urban Outfitter. But it's like the game changes. So back then it was a way to take something that was expensive and make a profit. Nowadays, or during my time and when I was coming up, those things changed because crack addicts started to disappear. Nobody wanted to be kids from my generation. People born after 1982 and all that. We didn't. No, we weren't the crack users. It was the people from the 60s and the 70s and all that.
Do I have it right, D, that it was right after you were accepted at Georgetown, your brother was killed?
He don't even know. He didn't even know I got accepted into that school.
Wow.
So, we were missing each other. We had a little crib, and he was in and out all of the time, and I was too. And you got two young guys, teenagers.
How old was he? How old were you?
So he has me by 5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he was actually in his early 20s when he passed. But you got two young guys. In a house, I'm sure you can probably imagine what the stack of mail would look like. He didn't know. He didn't know. So as I was planning on letting him know I got accepted into these different schools and that I'm gonna really, really, really push to change that narrative. He was gone.
Did they find his killer?
So it's been a lot of rumors going on. There was a lot of rumors around that time that, it was over a girl. It had nothing to do with drugs. It was he had some conflict over about a lady. But the dude who never got arrested for it ended up being murdered trying to rob somebody. So it was a crazy situation.
Wow. All right, so you go to Georgetown. You work with Salon now, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, editor at large. I never made it to Georgetown. I'd stayed home for a year and I went to this school called Loyola and I couldn't even imagine how to function. Baltimore's a funny city. It's a 65% black population, but it's super segregated. So my first experience in Loyola a year after my brother died was the first time me actually meeting a white person that wasn't a police officer or a social worker like Michelle Pfeiffer from Dangerous Minds. It was the first time being in a real dense white community and I didn't last, I just didn't, I could never really fully assimilate, and I was already dealing with the pain from his death and, my own transition, so I ended up dropping out of school. And then I went back to college. I went through the streets, and learned some of my most valuable lessons. Like the reason why I can survive in this art world, or as a journalist, or just as a person who just writes in general, is because some of them that thick skin I learned out there. So
how do you get the gig at Salon? That's a good gig.
I work really, really, really hard. So one, the people at Salon were like responsible for launching my career. I had a literary agent like my first year in grad school, but we couldn't get anybody to buy this book, The Cook Up. So my agent recommended that I started writing some opinion pieces for a couple of websites like Salon, and the first one I wrote it for Gawker, and they loved it, but they sat on it. Like they sat on it for like a month, and it wasn't news anymore. So I just I wrote it. I wrote another one for Huffington Post, and they said this is great. You're a good writer, kid, but this is 2,000 words. Can you get it down to 750? And I was like, I can't. And then I sent it to Salon, and it went crazy, got millions of hits, and it actually like introduced me to a whole world that I never really had proximity to. So I started writing for them, and when they went through the change of ownership, and when Jordan took over, he offered me a position as editor in chief, and because by this time I've been a college professor for like 4 or 5 years, and I wrote 2 New York Times bestsellers in 7 months. So I'm writing and I'm working. The Cook Up hit the list under crime, the crime section of the New York Times bestseller, and the B-side hit the list under race and civil rights. So I have all this work out, and I'm working really hard. And he wanted me to affiliate with the company, and I was also building my resume up as a pundit because I had did a bunch of news shows and things like that. So I was just working overtime, and he thought my voice was one that Salon can benefit from, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity, not just to write my own stories, but to help other people get published too. Because that's how I got in.
Dee, are you teaching now?
Yeah, I teach at Johns Hopkins University, a class called Context of the Urban Child in the School of Education. I have a master's in education too, so I have an MFA in creative writing. But once I got into college, I figured it out. I figured it out.
Are your parents alive?
Yeah, they're alive. They still in Baltimore.
They must be thrilled for you.
No, my mom is like, I have to bribe her to not wear T-shirts with my face on it. She's my biggest advocate. My dad's really proud too.
She lost one of her boys, and then
so we had different moms. We had the same father, different mothers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your mother must be proud of how you went from the streets, pre-cook up, through it. And now you're teaching at Hopkins? That's great.
She's proud, and I'm thankful, for her, because she had to go through her own journey, and she's a praying woman now. Like, she's really into to religion and Christianity, and I just think we're lucky, we're blessed people, and we don't take things for granted.
Do you have a family of your own?
No kids.
Okay.
Not yet.
What do you want to do? Long term. Is this it?
So I have a couple of opportunities for people that want me to help write and produce films. So one of the things I care about more than anything is the literacy problem that we have in this country. I think that we have 28 million illiterate people in America. It's crazy, but then a larger number not reading on grade level. And I think that when you look at the divisiveness that exists within this country, and why all of these different groups can't just come together and unify us because of their inability to communicate, I don't understand the reality of a person in the middle of America who's going through whatever hardship they're going through. Just like that person doesn't really understand what it's like on my side of the spectrum. But if we can effectively communicate with each other, if I can understand that J.D. Vance story and J.D. Vance can understand my story, that's going to make the world a better place for everybody. Like we'll all be able to prosper. And a big block of that is because of our failure to communicate.
Do you go into the neighborhoods and talk to the kids?
Yeah, I live 3 miles away from where I grew up, and every time I get an extra dollar to my name, I'm buying another property in the neighborhood. Like it's not about running away; it's about building it up, creating home ownership. So that's why I won't leave. But I had an opportunity to teach at Berkeley, but not leaving East Baltimore. Like you bury me there. That's where my heart is. I owe it to those people, that community.
So you're living faith that Baltimore is going to be much better.
I believe in it. I truly believe in it. I think so.
Good for you. Dee Watkins' story of redemption, it's incredible. The Cook Up, one of the books he's written. Our guest today on WNDB. Dee, thanks for giving us the time, man.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.